What if positive thinking after 60 is not about forcing optimism, but about finally seeing life clearly? Many people believe that growing older means narrowing your world, fewer dreams, fewer possibilities, fewer reasons to hope. Society quietly tells you that your most meaningful chapters are already written, and what remains is simply repetition, waiting, or decline. But Buddhism offers a radically different truth. After 60, your mind is no longer meant to chase. It is meant to understand. And from understanding, something powerful arises, peaceful, grounded, positive thinking that is not fragile, not naive, and not dependent on circumstances. This stage of life is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about learning how to meet reality without fear, without bitterness, without unnecessary suffering. Positive thinking in the Buddhist sense does not mean ignoring pain or loss. It means seeing life as it truly is, impermanent, imperfect, and still deeply meaningful. You have lived long enough to know that forced positivity does not work, but gentle wisdom does. In this video, you will hear 6 Buddhist lessons designed especially for this season of life. Lessons that do not rush you. Lessons that respect your experiences. Lessons that help the mind soften instead of struggle. Listen slowly. Let these words move through you like a quiet conversation with yourself. You are not here to become someone new. You are here to return to what has always been steady within you. Let us begin. Lesson 1. Stop fighting reality. Acceptance is the root of positive thinking. After 60, many people try to stay positive by resisting reality. They fight their changing body. They fight the past. They fight the present moment, wishing it looked more like yesterday. But Buddhism teaches something very different. Suffering does not come from what happens. It comes from resisting what already is. Positive thinking does not begin with optimism. It begins with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean liking everything. It means no longer arguing with reality in your mind. As you age, certain things naturally change. Energy shifts, priorities change, roles fall away, people come and go. When the mind resists these changes, it creates tension. That tension slowly hardens into negativity, bitterness, or quiet sadness. But when you stop fighting reality, something remarkable happens. The mind relaxes, and in that relaxation, positivity begins to grow naturally. The Buddha taught that life contains unavoidable discomfort, but much of our suffering is optional. It is created by thoughts like, this shouldn't be happening, I should be different, my life should look another way by now. Each should is a form of resistance. Instead, Buddhism invites you to gently say, this is what is happening right now, not as surrender, but as clarity. When you accept your present moment, you reclaim your power. You stop wasting energy wishing life were different, and you begin to work with life instead of against it. Ask yourself quietly, what am I still resisting? What part of my life am I arguing with in my mind? It might be your body, your pace, your financial situation, your loneliness, or the way others see you now. Acceptance does not mean giving up hope. It means freeing hope from illusion. You can still care for your health without hating your body. You can still seek connection without resenting solitude. You can still grow without denying your limits. Buddhist positive thinking is calm, not loud. It says, I can meet this moment without fear. When you accept reality, the mind stops spinning stories about how life should be. And when those stories dissolve, space opens. In that space, peace grows, gratitude grows, compassion grows. Try this simple practice. When a negative thought arises, do not fight it. Say gently, I see you. Then return to your breath. You are not required to feel positive all the time. You are only asked to be honest with what is. And from honesty, clarity emerges. From clarity, peace emerges. From peace, positive thinking becomes effortless. After 60, positivity is no longer about excitement. It is about ease. Lesson 2. Guard your mind. Where attention goes, thought patterns grow. After 60, your mind becomes more powerful than ever before. Not because it is faster, but because it is practiced. For decades, your thoughts have been forming habits. Some habits create peace. Others quietly drain joy. Buddhism teaches that the mind becomes what it repeatedly focuses on. Positive thinking, then, is not about forcing cheerful thoughts. It is about protecting where your attention rests. At this stage of life, you may notice that the mind naturally drifts toward reflection. Memories return, comparisons arise, regrets surface. News and conversations may feel heavier than they once did. Without awareness, this can slowly shape a negative inner climate. But awareness changes everything. The Buddha said, "Whatever the mind frequently thinks and ponders upon, that will become the inclination of the mind." This means you have more influence than you realize. After 60, you no longer need to consume everything. You no longer need to listen to every opinion. You no longer need to revisit every memory. Your attention is precious now. Positive thinking begins when you gently ask, "What am I feeding my mind?" If you repeatedly expose yourself to fear-based news, critical voices, or conversations filled with complaint, your mind absorbs that tone. It becomes tense, defensive, heavy. But when you choose nourishment instead, quiet moments, thoughtful words, meaningful silence, the mind begins to soften. This is not avoidance. It is wisdom. Buddhism teaches right effort, the effort to prevent unwholesome states of mind from arising and to encourage wholesome ones. This does not require discipline like a struggle. It requires discernment. You can choose what conversations you engage in, what media you consume, what memories you replay. Ask yourself, does this bring clarity or confusion? Does this calm my heart or tighten it? Positive thinking after 60 is deeply connected to simplicity. You are no longer obligated to stay mentally busy. Try this practice. Each day, give your mind one quiet hour. No news, no analysis. No replaying the past, just presence. Let the mind rest like a lake without disturbance. When the water is still, it naturally reflects light. You may notice something surprising. Without constant stimulation, positive thoughts arise on their own. Gentle appreciation, soft gratitude, a sense of enough. Buddhism does not teach constant happiness. It teaches balance. When negative thoughts appear, and they will, do not judge them. Simply notice, this is a thought, not a truth, not a command. Then return your attention to something steady, your breath, your body, the sound around you. Over time, the mind learns where to settle, and where it settles, peace grows. After 60, positivity is not created by effort. It is protected by awareness. You are allowed to guard your mental space. You are allowed to choose calm, and in doing so, you give your mind permission to heal. Lesson 3. Release the weight of the past. Positivity lives in this moment. One of the greatest challenges after 60 is not the body. It is the mind's relationship with the past. Memories return more frequently now. Some are warm, others arrive quietly, carrying regret, guilt, or the feeling that life should have turned out differently. Buddhism teaches that suffering does not come from memory itself. It comes from living inside memory. The past is a teacher, but it is a poor home. Positive thinking after 60 begins when you stop asking, why did this happen? What if I had chosen differently? Why didn't I know then what I know now? These questions do not bring wisdom. They bring exhaustion. The Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This teaching becomes especially important in later life. You have already carried your past for decades. You do not need to punish yourself by carrying it again every day. The mind often replays moments not to solve them, but because it seeks closure. Yet many moments cannot be closed through thinking. They can only be softened through compassion. Ask yourself gently, am I using memory for wisdom or for self-judgment? Positive thinking does not mean denying mistakes. It means understanding that every decision was made with the awareness you had at the time. You did not fail. You learned. Buddhism teaches that the self is not fixed. The person you were at 30 no longer exists. The person you were at 40 no longer exists. So why continue to judge a past self who had different limits, fears, and understanding? Try this practice. When a painful memory arises, place a hand on your chest and say silently, that version of me was doing their best. Feel the softening. Positive thinking after 60 comes from reconciliation, not revision. You do not need to rewrite your story. You only need to stop fighting it. The present moment is where peace lives, not in memories, not in imagined futures. Notice how life still offers you small moments of aliveness, a breath, a sound, a sensation. You are not late to life. You are here, and that is enough. When the mind rests in the present, it stops feeding regret. It stops borrowing suffering from the past. This is not forgetting. This is freedom. Each time you return to now, you reclaim your energy. And with that energy, positive thinking becomes natural, not forced. After 60, positivity is not about reliving youth. It is about honoring the moment you are alive in. Lesson 4. Understand impermanence. Change is not your enemy. One reason negative thinking increases with age is the belief that change is a loss. The body changes, relationships shift, abilities fade or transform, and the mind quietly says something is wrong. But Buddhism teaches one of its most important truths. Everything changes, and because everything changes, peace is possible. Impermanence, anicca, is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to free you. When you expect life to stay the same, every change feels like a threat. But when you understand impermanence, change becomes natural. You stop asking, "How do I stop this?" and begin asking, "How do I move with this?" After 60, impermanence becomes more visible. Friends age, roles dissolve, time feels different. But here is the deeper Buddhist insight. You are not what changes. You are the awareness noticing the change. Your body is not permanent, but awareness remains. Your roles are not permanent, but awareness remains. Your thoughts are not permanent, but awareness remains. This understanding transforms how you think. Positive thinking is no longer fragile. It does not depend on youth, strength, or certainty. It rests on something deeper. Think of a river. The water moves constantly, yet the river remains. You are like that river. When you resist change, suffering multiplies. When you allow change, the heart softens. Try this reflection. What if aging is not decline, but refinement? What if life is not taking things away, but returning you to what matters? Impermanence teaches gratitude. Because nothing lasts, everything becomes precious. A conversation, a quiet morning, a breath without pain. When you accept impermanence, you stop postponing peace. You stop waiting for the right time to feel content. This moment becomes enough. Say quietly to yourself, this too is part of life. Not with resignation, with understanding. After 60, positive thinking does not come from hope alone. It comes from trust in the flow of life. When you stop clinging, the heart becomes light. And when the heart is light, the mind naturally turns toward peace. Lesson 5. Train the mind toward gratitude. Positivity grows where appreciation lives. After 60, many people believe positive thinking should come naturally. You have survived. You have endured. You have learned. And yet the mind can still drift toward what is missing rather than what remains. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a field. Whatever you plant, intentionally or unconsciously, will grow. If the mind repeatedly focuses on loss, comparison, or limitation, it will naturally produce heaviness. But when the mind is gently trained to notice what is present, what is supportive, and what is still beautiful, positivity emerges without force. Gratitude in Buddhism is not emotional excitement. It is clear seeing. It is the recognition that even in a changing body, even in an uncertain world, life is still offering something meaningful in each moment. After 60, gratitude becomes a form of wisdom. In earlier years, gratitude often depends on achievement. After retirement, success, or recognition. But Buddhist gratitude is independent of circumstances. It does not say, "I am grateful because everything is good." It says, "I am grateful because I am aware." You may notice the mind quietly listing what is no longer available. Energy you once had, people who are no longer present, opportunities that passed. This habit is understandable, but it is not helpful. The Buddha taught that dissatisfaction arises not from lacking, but from failing to appreciate. Ask yourself gently, what is still supporting me today? Perhaps it is your breath. Perhaps it is the ability to walk, even slowly. Perhaps it is a moment of quiet that younger years never allowed. Positive thinking after 60 does not mean ignoring discomfort. It means widening the view. When the mind is narrow, it sees only pain. When the mind opens, it sees balance. Try this daily practice. Each morning, before engaging with the world, acknowledge one simple thing you appreciate. Not something impressive, something real. The warmth of water on your hands, the way light enters the room, the fact that your heart is still beating. These are not small things. They are the foundation of life. Buddhism teaches that joy, sukha, arises from contentment, not stimulation. Contentment grows when you stop asking life to impress you. After 60, life becomes quieter, and in quiet, subtle beauty appears. Gratitude also transforms how you relate to aging itself. Instead of thinking, I am losing abilities, you begin to think, I am grateful for what still functions. This shift does not deny reality, it honors it. When you practice gratitude consistently, the mind rewires itself. It becomes less reactive, less critical, less restless. Positive thoughts arise not because you demand them, but because the mind feels safe. Gratitude also softens the heart toward others. You stop comparing your path to theirs. You stop measuring your life against unrealistic timelines. You realize there is no race, there is only presence. Another Buddhist reflection. This moment did not have to exist, but it does. Let that sink in. Every breath is a gift, not because it is permanent, but because it is fleeting. After 60, gratitude teaches you to live forward without resentment. You stop thinking, I should have done more, and begin thinking, I lived as fully as I could with what I knew. Positive thinking matures into peaceful thinking. Try this evening practice. Before sleep, recall 3 ordinary moments from the day that were supportive, not exciting, not dramatic, supportive. This trains the mind to recognize goodness without effort. Over time, gratitude becomes automatic. And when gratitude becomes automatic, negativity loses its grip. After 60, you do not need louder joy. You need steadier joy. Gratitude provides that stability. It reminds you that your life is not measured by what is missing, but by what you are still able to receive. And there is still much to receive if you are willing to notice. Lesson 6. Live with compassion. Positive thinking becomes natural when the heart is soft. After 60, positive thinking is no longer sustained by effort. It is sustained by the condition of the heart. If the heart is tense, guarded, or hardened by disappointment, the mind will struggle to remain peaceful. But when the heart softens, when compassion becomes your way of meeting life, positive thinking arises naturally without resistance. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not weakness, it is clarity in action. Compassion begins with understanding suffering, your own and that of others. After decades of living, you have seen enough to know that everyone carries invisible burdens. Everyone is shaped by fear, loss, longing, and uncertainty. This understanding changes how you see people. It also changes how you see yourself. One of the quiet sources of negativity in later life is self-judgment. The mind replays old decisions and asks, "Why didn't I do better? Why didn't I know more? Why didn't I choose differently?" But compassion interrupts this cycle. The Buddha taught, "You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and kindness." After 60, compassion toward yourself becomes essential. Not indulgence, not denial, but honest kindness. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to learn. Every version of you that existed along the way was responding to life with the awareness available at that time. When you judge your past self with your present understanding, you create unnecessary suffering. Positive thinking cannot survive in a mind that attacks itself. Try this reflection. If someone you loved had lived your life, made your choices, faced your challenges, would you condemn them? Or would you understand? Compassion begins when you offer yourself the same grace you give others. This does not erase responsibility, it dissolves cruelty. As compassion deepens, your relationship with others also changes. You stop expecting people to behave perfectly. You stop taking things so personally. You realize everyone is navigating something. After 60, you may notice less tolerance for conflict, drama, or emotional noise. This is not withdrawal, it is refinement. Buddhism teaches right speech, right action, and right intention, not as rules, but as pathways to peace. When compassion guides your words, conversations become lighter. When compassion guides your actions, regret lessens. When compassion guides your intentions, the mind rests. Positive thinking does not mean thinking well of everyone all the time. It means choosing not to poison your own heart with resentment. Holding anger does not protect you. It exhausts you. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not something you give to others. It is something you give yourself. It is the decision to stop carrying pain forward. This does not require reconciliation. It requires release. Ask yourself, what am I still holding that costs me peace? Compassion also reshapes your sense of purpose. After 60, purpose is no longer about achievement. It is about presence. You may no longer be building careers, raising children, or chasing recognition. But your presence now carries something far more subtle and powerful. You offer calm. You offer perspective. You offer emotional safety. People may not remember your advice, but they will remember how they felt around you. When you listen without interrupting, when you respond without judgment, when you remain patient where others rush, these moments matter. Buddhism teaches that a single moment of genuine compassion can ease more suffering than many words. Your energy now has weight. Your tone has influence. Your stillness has meaning. Positive thinking flourishes when your interactions align with your values, when you no longer betray your inner peace to please others or prove something. Compassion also allows you to accept your own limits without shame. You may move slower. You may need more rest. You may say no more often. This is not failure. It is wisdom. A compassionate mind does not demand what the body cannot give. It adjusts gently. Try this daily compassion practice. When you encounter someone, whether a loved one, a stranger, or someone difficult, silently repeat, "Just like me, this person wants peace. Just like me, this person struggles. Just like me, this person is doing their best." Notice how your reactions soften. This practice does not change others. It changes your inner climate, and inner climate determines mental health. Positive thinking after 60 is not optimism layered over pain. It is clarity wrapped in kindness. As compassion becomes your default, the mind becomes less defensive, less reactive, less fearful. You stop needing the world to behave a certain way for you to feel okay. Peace becomes internal. Your legacy is not what you accumulated, it is what you transmitted. Every gentle word, every moment of patience, every time you chose understanding over judgment. These are the quiet imprints that last. After 60, positive thinking is no longer about imagining a better future. It is about becoming a calmer presence in the present. And that is a powerful form of contribution. When the heart is soft, the mind follows. When the mind is calm, positivity is no longer something you chase. It is something you live. As you move forward from this moment, remember this gently. Positive thinking after 60 is not something you must force, perform, or prove. It grows naturally when you meet life with awareness, acceptance, gratitude, and compassion. You are not behind. You are not fading. You are arriving at a stage of life where clarity matters more than speed and peace matters more than outcome. Each day offers a quiet invitation to breathe, to soften, to notice what is still here. When you live this way, positivity is no longer fragile. It becomes steady, grounded, and real. If these Buddhist lessons brought you a sense of calm or understanding, allow them to guide your days. You don't need to remember everything, just return to what feels true. For more reflections on mindfulness, inner peace, and Buddhist wisdom for daily life, consider subscribing to our channel, Mindfulness. Your presence here helps us share calm and clarity with others around the world. Thank you for listening. May you be peaceful. May you be present. May you walk gently forward with trust and grace.